It's done, people. Simone Inzaghi is going to leave Inter and join Al Hilal. Straight from Fabrizio Romano, breaking news: Simone Inzaghi and Inter are set to part ways. Decision made. Inzaghi will now become the new Al Hilal head coach as planned. The cycle is over after one Scudetto title, two Coppa Italias, three Italian Super Cups, and reaching two UCL finals. And we've already kind of been hearing these rumors ahead of the Champions League final. When you started hearing the rumors of Simone Inzaghi going to Al Hilal, you kind of knew this was going to end. You kind of knew it. It's just like a sad ending to, I think, what's been a very good period for Inter. And you look at the transfers they made over his time, it's like they haven't properly backed him. And Pepe Morotta is trying to do his best with what the budget is at Inter, but they're doing free transfer. And I can understand some of the frustration for Inter fans with Simone Inzaghi that he's not tactically flexible. He doesn't really change formations. Well, the 3-5-2 was absolutely cooking last season. It was cooking going to the UCL final in 2023. I heard no complaints. I heard, oh my God, Simone Inzaghi is the messiah. He's helping rejuvenate Inter after Conte brought it back from the dead. But now after losing the UCL final 5-0, and I understand, look, 5-0 is a horrific scoreline. Do you know who the manager was in 1994 or when it was in 1993 when Barca lost to AC Milan 4-0? Oh, Johan Cruyff. Is anybody going to dispute with Johan Cruyff and his tactics? Absolutely not. And I understand, look, 5-0, horrible. You have so many question marks if you're Inter fans. But now that Inzaghi is gone, I'm telling you, you're going to feel some trouble right now. Now we're going to see which direction Inter go into. Is this now just a full-on rebuild mode? We're going to bring in new players. Simone Inzaghi played this 3-5-2 consistently for the past 4 years. And what's one way to describe Inzaghi's time with Inter? Unfortunate. What could have been? You could use to describe his time at Inter because they've reached two UCL finals. And they gave clubs their first ever UCL. They gave their clubs, the opponent clubs, their first ever treble. Inter should have won the Scudetto in 2022 against Milan. How did they bottle that against that Milan team that were a young side, up and coming, but they should have not won that Scudetto? Inter bottled it. The next year, Napoli were amazing. The following year after that, Inzaghi wins his first Scudetto and absolutely they destroy the Serie A. It wasn't even a competition. That 23-24 Inter season, I thought they were phenomenal. And they really should have made it to the UCL final, but they obviously lost to Atleti in the round of 16. So I think it's kind of been unfortunate. And also Inzaghi, sometimes he just doesn't have the best options off the bench. And that's killed him in these important games down the stretch. And this season, you can kind of just see this side imploding and the Coppa Italia going terrible. Then the Lazio at home, AS Roma at home for the Scudetto. And then it all came together for that Champions League final where they got absolutely demolished and the side looked ill-prepared. It was so embarrassing the way Inter lost it that you had so many question marks. Was Inzaghi really in tune? Was he really motivated heading into that final? And were the players like, he's leaving. He's leaving. We're not motivated either. So you can maybe say that the preparation altogether from management to the players was terrible, and that cost Inter, and they suffered the most humiliating defeat in UCL final history, and probably the most humiliating UCL defeat ever. I know Dinamo Zagreb lost 9-2 earlier this season. Losing 5-0 in the final is straight up embarrassing. And I kind of feel bad for Inzaghi because I think he's done wonders, and I think he is a top coach. I think he's a world-class manager. For the squad that Inter have, he made Acerbi and Mkhitaryan decent players at their age. Decent players. Ultimately, sometimes you could say that Acerbi and Mkhitaryan, their age and the quality they're at right now, it costs Inter. What other option you want to play with, people? You want to play with De Vrij in the UCL final? Okay, good luck. You want to play with Fratesi in the midfield, who sometimes he can't even control the ball, let alone play as a midfielder. So Inzaghi was hampered by the options off the bench, and I think Pepe Morotta did his best opportunity. And look, maybe Inzaghi was like, let me just go cash in. Let me go to Saudi Arabia. Let me go to Al Hilal. I'll go to the Club World Cup. I'll play in the AFC Champions League, and I'll make money. And I think it's only like a 2-3 year contract if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Let me know if that's wrong in the comments down below. So I think Inzaghi and Inter, they just knew 4 years together. Let's move on. Let's go in a new direction. And it's kind of sad because going out in this manner after that defeat, and not winning any trophies this season, not even beating Milan, who finished 8th in the Serie A. It's kind of embarrassing for Inzaghi and the entire club, and I'm now intrigued to see what do Inter do now. What sort of manager do you go for? Do you go all in and try and get Cesc Fabregas from Como? Okay, if you bring in Cesc, do you have the players to play his sort of style of football? Can DiMarco play as a left back? Because we can see even as a left wing back, he's getting exposed every single game right now. Acerbi cannot play in a back four, so he's probably going to be moved on. Of course, then you still got Bastonia, Pavard to play as the two center backs, and you got Dumfries on the right side. There would be so many question marks if Cesc comes in. Look, Cesc is doing an amazing job at Como. And obviously, he's a part owner as well of the club. But that would be a huge risk for Inter, who still need to get Champions League football next season, still compete for the Scudetto because they have insanely good players like Barella, Bastoni, Lautaro, Thuram. They have insanely good players, and they've done some decent recruitment. They're bringing in the Luis Henrique from Marseille, who looks like a decent player. I haven't watched a lot of him, so I can't say if he's going to improve Inter. But bringing in a manager like Cesc would be a huge risk. Or a manager like Farioli, who I rate Farioli highly. Okay, he did really well with Nice, went to Ajax. Yes, he bottled it, but I mean, that squad for Ajax should have never even been competing for the Eredivisie title. So I think he did a really good job this season. I was hoping he would have stayed at Ajax. So do you go for a young manager like that? Okay, what other options do you have? Palladino, who just parted ways with Fiorentina? There's not a lot of options on the market. So Inter fans that wanted to say, okay, let's move on from Inzaghi, my answer is good luck. It's not always greener on the other side. On the other side, it's probably manure. And the manure could be a Palladino. Look, you could have gone Gasperini. Obviously, Gasperini was at Inter, what was it, 12, 13 years ago? He only lasted 5 games. It was horrific, but maybe Gasperini has learned from his mistakes when he was Inter manager. So I think there's a lot of question marks. And then you have to hire a manager this week if you're Inter. You need to get a new manager in this week, start preparing for the Club World Cup, bring in the players for that, and start getting familiar with the tactics, and if it's completely a new formation and a new tactical idea for Inter. Are they going to keep going with the back 5, or are they going to transition to being a back 4 team? There is so many question marks for Inter right now that if you're Antonio Conte, you're just laughing. I mean, the guy is just salivating at the mouth because he just won the Scudetto, and now ADL, De Laurentiis, is going to actually back him with some money. Napoli might go back-to-back, people. They might go back-to-back because there's question marks about Juventus. There's question marks about Milan. Now Inter. Lazio, car crash. They're bringing Sarri. They might be hiring the Red Marble chairman to provide him with all the cigarettes. AS Roma looking decent now with Gasperini. So Napoli are like laughing at this. So Inter, if they still want to compete for the Scudetto title, and I think they have the squad to do it, they got to get the right manager. Who is it? Are you going to get Xavi from Barca? I mean, it's a decent option, but is that the right manager to bring in? Has he learned his mistakes from Barcelona? Who else? I mean, obviously, the dream, I think, for Inter fans, maybe, I'm just putting it out there into the universe, would be Diego Simeone. Former player, makes sense. I think he would really just fit into Inter. I think Diego Simeone in Serie A would be a match made in heaven as a manager, of course. He already played there as a player. So there's a lot of question marks to who will be the next manager for Inter and what players will be signed as well going with that. Because basically Inter have no wingers. They have no, like Tejan Buchanan is on loan. This guy can't start for Inter. He's not the quality. He's a decent player. Can come off the bench. Not to start. So there's going to be so many question marks right now after Inzaghi leaving. But Inzaghi's time with Inter, you could still say it was successful because they made to 2 UCL finals with the limited budget that he got compared to the other teams around Europe spending the crazy money on wages, on the transfer fees. But also you could say you should have won more. You should have won more Scudetto. They should have at least had 3 Scudettos. They should have won in 2022. Yeah, 2022. And they should have won in 2025, this year. Those are the 2 years where you look at Inzaghi and the players and saying, how'd you not win the Scudetto? So they really should have won 3 Scudettos in 4 years. A good period for Inzaghi. Now if he moves on, and obviously you cannot get annihilated like you did in the UCL final, because that was just straight up embarrassing for Inter and all the Inter fans around the world. But Serie A, the carousel just keeps on moving, people. Like that image I showed last week with Milan and AS Roma and all the managers Allegri going there, Gasperini going there, Sarri. It's just a revolving door right now. But maybe Inter are going to think outside the box, and also Beppe Marotta, in saying, let's go for this manager. Nobody expects it. Or do you go for more experience? Just so many question marks. But Simone Inzaghi, for me, one of the best managers in the world. He's going to Al Hilal. I mean, great for Al Hilal fans if there are any watching. And now he's going to be at the Club World Cup. So I would love to just see Inter go up against Al Hilal. Somehow, some way, that matchup needs to happen at the Club World Cup. But Inzaghi's time is over at Inter. And now a lot of question marks, a lot of pondering for Inter fans and the Inter board. In what do we do next? Are they going to sufficiently back the next manager of what he wants? And what players are going to leave? What players are going to be incoming? So many question marks. It's going to be a fascinating summer again in Serie A as I make another Serie A video today. But it was an emergency video. Inzaghi is out of Inter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and let me know your thoughts. Who should be the next manager for Inter? Remember to follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord, all those links, description down below. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.